Where we are here. You are here. So, to pick the story back up, there was a lull in the fighting with the British in firm possession of Turkey and Quaker Hill, the Americans in firm possession of Butts Hill. It's about a 1 mile valley in between, and you could have, if you took their walking tour at Butts Hill and you came around that backside trail to that long low stone wall where the high school was, you had a pretty good perspective from there of the declination of the hill and then the heights beyond of Quaker and Turkey. Of course, they're all wooded now. It's a little more challenging to visualize it. I like to call von der Malsburg the irrepressible von der Malsburg because he was in the action all day, starting with first contact at the Oval Ring House at 8 o'clock in the morning. Throughout the day, he was shot through the hat, he was shot in the hand, but he never left the field. And his chasseurs were in the forefront of every Hessian push. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, after the lull that I was just describing, he took it on his own initiative and threw his chasseurs against the 1st Rhode Island Regiment in the artillery redoubt, which, again, looking at the map here just real quick, I'm not going to unfold the whole thing, but 2 panels will tell the tale, I think. So you'll notice that the American line, and if you've set the game up, you'll especially recognize that the American line stretched 2 miles almost from shore to shore across the foot of Butts Hill and up on Butts Hill itself at the fort. Okay, like this. But here's the Durfee Hill and the artillery redoubt is forward of the main American line and on a bit of a diagonal. So it's closer certainly to Turkey Hill. And that was the objective. So the chasseurs attacked, 250 of them, unilaterally, and they were repulsed. And I have I like the quotes, you know, I have a kind of a quote here from von der Malsburg after that attack. He said the 1st Rhode Island he said he met obstinate resistance by chiefly wild-looking men. The 1st Rhode Island is noteworthy because it is the first regiment in the regular American military establishment of all colored persons. They were free black men. They were also escaped slaves. They were also, a sizable portion of them were Native American Indians. They were, of course, under the command of Continental officers.
And also slaves that were granted their freedom to serve.
To serve, correct. By the way, Pigot offered the same deal for slaves that would serve the British, and very few stepped forward. So instead, he impressed the British side slaves into a labor battalion and put them to work on the defenses. And there's a labor battalion unit in the game. If you set it up, you'll see it. But anyway, they charged the redoubt. They were repulsed. So be it. That was 10 in the morning. At 11:30 in the morning, von Lossberg said, we're going to try again. This time, we're going to get naval support. And Graham's 5 ships came up the middle channel to enfilade the position, the redoubt position. There was a frigate. There was an armed ship of 24 guns, 18 of which were 18-pounders, I want to say. Let's see, a frigate of 20. The Vigilant, yes, the Vigilant had 20 guns as well, 14 of which were, 24-pounders, okay? And then they had 3 smaller vessels.
What was the range?
About 800 yards effective. Beyond that...
no, that's right, range from where the ships to the...
well, they came close to shore.
No, I just wondered what the range is. I have no idea what the scale. I'm just asking, how far was it from the ships to the Rhode Island position?
About, well, they were about at the 800
About
yard
800, so okay,
range.
just effective.
Just effective, okay? And that's important. That's a great question. Because it bears on the rest of the story. Well, it was ineffective fire, and the attacking Hessians this time reinforced not just the chasseurs, but They were reinforced with 100 men each from a couple of the other regiments, and the King's American Regiment, I think, threw in as well, loyalists. They were repulsed a second time. Okay, once again a lull, settled over the field. At 2 o'clock, so 10 o'clock first try, 11:30 second try, now it's 2 in the afternoon. Von Lossberg decides one more push, and he decides to commit a total of 1,200 men into the attack. Again, the chasseurs in the lead. Again, the squadron is asked to come up and enfilade fire. That's why you get 2 cracks at it in game terms. You've got 2 markers that you can use for the ship yourself.
You have naval gunfire in your game?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. And but you only get 2 shots. You only get 2 tries because that's what happened. This time, Graham, the commander of the flotilla, said, "By God, we were at 2 distance." So he puts that Vigilant with the 24-pounders up close to shore and drops anchor, because he wants a stable gun platform. Well, General Nathaniel Greene is commanding on this flank, and you know the old saying, "Fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me." He said, "Hey, they sent their ships up, they tried some enfilade fire, I'm going to be prepared in case they try it again." And he created a masked battery of 4 18-pounders down on the beach, or close to the beach, just in the tree line. And when the Vigilant came up as close as she could bear and dropped anchor, she was hulled 3 times in the first salvo from the shore battery. And Graham said, "We're out of here." And he pulled the squadron back away. So once again, the Navy was unable to support the action. And there's an opportunity card in the American player's deck that speaks about the quarreling between the naval officers and the army officers on the British side over the inability of this combined arms action. And it degrades the British player's army morale by 1 point. So if you get that card as the American player, that's a good card. But even without the Navy, they tried a 3rd time. And this time, because of that extra weight that von Lossberg committed, they actually swirled around the redoubt, and the von Hein regiment penetrated 100 yards beyond the redoubt to get to the rear. However, they had no support, and they were basically enveloped by arriving American reinforcements. Yes, from the main line. Greene himself threw in, I don't want to misquote it here, he threw in 1,600 men in total, including the 2nd Rhode Island, and let's see, 2nd Rhode Island, Jackson's Continentals, altogether 1,600 Americans, toe-to-toe with 1,200 Hessians. The von Hein regiment gets to the rear of the redoubt, but gets enveloped. Greene smells blood in the water, and he sees victory at hand, and he calls up out of his strategic reserve Titcomb's Massachusetts Militia Brigade of 850 men, and they start coming forward to, finish them off. And von Lossberg, seeing that, pulls out. He orders a general withdrawal, and the Hessians get out just in time. The day ends with the British firmly, and the Hessians firmly on these 2 positions, Turkey Hill and Quaker Hill, and the Americans firmly in their positions on Butts Hill, in front of Butts Hill, and at the artillery redoubt. And basically, you could say the action ends there.